are in China. This isn't just any aircraft, it's the COMAC C919, China's bold answer to the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320, two giants that have long dominated global skies. At first glance, the C919 looks like any modern commercial jet streamlined body, elegant with aviation ambition as a region potential. It developed in Honeywell, other stalwart in aerospace technology. The system in the C919 is backed in aviation is high in the book and remains grounded outside China, not because of concerns, not because of failed inspections. Instead, its bureaucratic red tape. European Union Aviation EASA delay certifying the aircraft by an estimated 3 to 6 years of roadblock. Q. The predictable headlines. Certain U.S. media wasted no time would buy it anyway. What's the point? These sets remain an irrelevant. The real issue isn't about it's about leverage, geopolitical influence, and a deeply entrenched Asian hierarchy being challenged in real time. And China's response to the hurdle is not playing out the way critics predict. They must grasp the significance of aircraft aviation. Certification isn't just a regulatory everything. A type certificate is essentially a passport for planes, an official declaration by a country's aviation authority that an aircraft is safe to fly. Without it, commercial aircraft operate on international flights, export potential, no cross-border lease. It's like build yard. Now here's where the global power dynamics come into play. In the aviation world, two regulators, federal and EASA. These two agencies are the de facto gatekeepers of the skies. Other nations simply defer to their judgment. Or EASA gives the green light, dozens of other countries follow suit. China has understood this reality for years. In 2019, Beijing and the European Union signed a bilateral aviation safety agreement designed to facilitate mutual recognition of certification standards. The thinking was simple: if China builds a plane that meets EASA standards, it should be certified accordingly. China even went the extra mile, designing the C919 using Western-made components with global track records, anticipating that this would smooth the certification process. Every decision seemed calculated to meet international exchange proprietary systems, just a globally acceptable aircraft. Yet here we are, with Europe delaying approval, and no clear reason that aligns with the initial rules China agreed to follow. So, what's the holdup? Let's examine the C919 more closely. This is not a shoddy domestic project built in haste. It's a carefully crafted commercial jet using globally trusted technology. The LEAP-1C engines used in the C919 are already certified by both the F and EASA. Power the Airbus A320neo, one of the world's best-selling jets. The control systems Honeywell, the radar, Rockwell Collins, fuel systems, Parker Hannifin. Every component has a legacy of reliability and certification. Even the tires are sourced from Michelin. The aircraft is essentially a collection of globally vetted parts, assembled to meet international standards. So why does the final product face such scrutiny? It's like assembling a smartphone from certified parts: a Qualcomm processor, a Samsung display, a Sony camera, only to be told the finished phone still needs years of extra inspection simply because it's not made by Apple or Samsung. That's the contradiction COMAC and Chinese aviation officials are confronting. To them, it feels less like quality control and more like protectionism. On the surface, EASA maintains that each aircraft must be evaluated holistically, even if its parts are individually certified. That's a valid point. Systems must work together seamlessly, especially in aviation. But when zoomed out, this rationale starts to look suspiciously convenient. This isn't the first time China has followed international rules, only to see the rules shift midway. Take space cooperation as a parallel example. In 2014, China and the European Space Agency ESA agreed on joint deep space missions. European astronauts, even trained in China, learned Mandarin and prepared for possible missions aboard China's space station. Then in 2023, ESA abruptly backed out, citing vague political concerns and financial limitations. Years of preparation discarded with no clear justification. Or look at the Galileo satellite navigation project. In the early 2000s, China invested heavily in Europe's answer to GPS. But under mounting U.S. pressure, China was sidelined. The result? China built Beidou, its own satellite navigation system, now a legitimate global rival to GPS and Galileo alike. This pattern repeats itself. China plays the game, follows the rules, invests time and resources only for the rules to be reinterpreted when success seems imminent. In commercial aviation, this is particularly significant. The industry has long been a duopoly between Boeing and Airbus, controlling over 90% of the global market. For decades they have faced little challenge. But now, COMAC, backed by the world's second-largest economy and a robust industrial base, presents a real alternative. For the first time, the duopoly feels the heat. And in this context, the delay in certifying the C919 starts to look like something other than regulatory caution. It starts to look like a tactical move to protect entrenched interests. Let's tackle another common criticism. Who would even buy the C919? The short answer: a lot of people. Even without international certification, China itself offers a massive market. According to the International Air Transport Association, China is projected to become the world's largest aviation market by 2042, with a demand for over 9,000 new aircraft. That's nearly a quarter of global demand. COMAC doesn't need to conquer the world, it just needs a share of its own market to succeed. And success is already underway. Chinese airlines have placed hundreds of orders for the C919, ensuring a robust domestic future. But the ambition doesn't stop at China's borders. Several Southeast Asian countries, including Malaysia, Indonesia, initiative, and are increasingly open to recognizing Chinese aviation standards in place of Western benchmarks. Now let's talk about Airbus, often painted as the victim in this emerging rivalry. In reality, Airbus could stand to lose significantly if China rethinks its aviation partnerships. Since 2006, China has bought more planes from Airbus than from Boeing. There are over 2,200 Airbus aircraft flying in Chinese skies today, making up more than half of the country's civil aviation fleet. Airbus even manufactures aircraft in China at its Tianjin plant, which produces up to 6 jets per month. If China begins to favor domestic aircraft over imports, Airbus's foothold could weaken dramatically. The narrative that no one wants the C919 is not only inaccurate, it ignores basic economics. The numbers favor China, and the future could tilt even further in COMAC's direction. Faced with these delays, China isn't just waiting around, it's adapting fast. First, it's pursuing engine independence. The current LEAP-1C engines are Western-made, but COMAC is now collaborating with the Aero Engine Corporation of China, AECC, to develop a domestic alternative, the CJ1000A. If successful, this engine could replace Western components and eliminate a key certification choke point. That move alone would dramatically shift the balance of power. But China's strategy goes beyond engineering. Through diplomatic channels, it is building a parallel aviation framework. Several Belt and Road countries have already signed mutual recognition agreements, which would allow the C919 to fly commercially without needing FAA or EASA approval. This is China's signature approach. Instead of confronting the global system, head-on, it builds an alternative from the ground up. Economic leverage also plays a role. China doesn't need to launch boycotts or issue press releases to make a point. Instead, it can quietly shift procurement patterns. State-owned airlines could begin prioritizing the C919 for domestic routes. Future Airbus orders might slow unless certification processes accelerate. No confrontation, no scandal, just the slow gravitational pull of strategic economics. What's happening is not a reaction born of pride or nationalism. It's about survival and independence. The rational response is to build your own. That's exactly what China